Welcome back to Changemakers Unplugged, brought to you by the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy. My name is Ella.
And my name is Rebekah, and today we are joined by Eric Rowles, who is the keynote speaker at our Changemakers Summit this weekend. Thank you for being with us.
Thank
It
you.
is absolutely my pleasure to be able to be here. What an exciting day, historic day with this first of summits, and bonus, I get a chance to spend some time with you. So
Thank you.
Of
thanks for squeezing me
course.
into your schedule.
Of course. So we'll jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into youth philanthropy.
That's a good question. So my name is Eric Rowles. I have been involved with youth philanthropy and giving in some kind of capacity for like the last, let's call it 25, 30 years. So I've been doing this for quite some time. We started probably maybe about 20 years ago an organization called the North Carolina Youth Giving Network in North Carolina. And that was a product of our friends at the Kellogg Foundation, who came to North Carolina and said, you know what, how do we increase young people involved in making decisions about their community, especially young people who maybe not have always had space at the table.
Mm.
So, there's one thing to be able to have like a county commission. There's one thing to be able to also have like a town planning board or even a board of directors. But quite often young people aren't at the table. And so Kellogg kind of brought a lot of providers that were doing work in North Carolina to the table. So that's a good kind of like stop and then rewind a little bit.
Mhm.
So I started an organization called Leading to Change. And Leading to Change is a training company. We're not a philanthropy company, we're a training agency. And we work with youth serving programs and university programs and workforce development programs across the country. And
Cool.
with really the idea of 3 reasons. Number one, you got to pay it forward.
Mm.
Someone's done something to be able to allow you to be able to be, for all of us to be able to be in these chairs, for us to be able to do what we were doing, pay it forward.
Mm.
Number two, all of us have somehow been on the receiving end of a very boring presentation.
Yes.
We've all survived a death by PowerPoint. We've all had that instructor that, with the best of intentions, put us to sleep. And so we thought, how do you make training and like learning come alive?
Mm-hmm.
And then the third is around resources and tools. So that's our organization. As a company, that's what we do. We travel around the country and with the idea of make training come alive, and it's so fun, kind of like what we did today here at the summit. Make sure people have tools, but we're doing it not because of us, but because this is how you build a legacy. So the Kellogg Foundation recognized us early on and said, Leading to Change, we might need you at the table here in North Carolina.
Mm.
And would you be willing to be able to partner with us? And I was also working for an organization called the Youth Leadership Institute. They're based out of San Francisco. Youth Leadership Institute is one of actually the original founders, one of the partners in the original founding of the youth philanthropy movement. And so I was an employee there, and I was also working with Leading to Change. So all that came in 20 years ago. Kellogg said, we want to put young people in decision making with grant making processes, and that's what they tapped us to be able to do. So fast forward, 27 different youth grant making councils were set up in North Carolina as part of the North Carolina Youth Giving Summit. Really, really proud of just so many young people that come in and out of either the community foundation or the nonprofit organization or the town center or the city council. So it has been a great journey along the way, and along the way we partner with a lot of different organizations, and that's what brings me to you in here.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. I didn't realize North Carolina was such a hub for youth philanthropy.
It wasn't until Kellogg really said, we'd like to be able to help support that. And so
That's cool.
it was a quick, like every year we kept on adding in more and more and more sites. And some of them have dissipated, and some of them still flourish on as well.
Mm.
So one of the groups I'll share with you, and I shared a little bit at the summit as well, it's a group in a relatively rural, kind of mountainous part of the western part of North Carolina. They are on year 20 of theirs. And
Wow.
so every year they have another 20 or 22 high school age students from all of the different high schools come together. And so, and they're on year 22 of this. So, yeah. The birthplace of Lowe's headquarters, they actually meet in the original building of Lowe's headquarters.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
Little fact.
cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow, well, thank you for sharing all
Yeah,
that. That's
absolutely so.
fantastic story.
Yeah.
So we mentioned that we have Eric here today for our Changemakers Summit.
Yes.
So to explain a little bit more about that, it's our very first year hosting this summit. And it's basically, we've gathered a bunch of high school students. Some of them are individuals and some of them are also from youth philanthropy organizations. So we have those students here. We have their advisors and their leaders here with them. And it's basically, we're just talking about philanthropy. How they can create change. A big focus that we have for this year specifically is fundraising. So they're going to be working on a Giving Day campaign that they will launch after their time here. But yeah, it's just a really great way to network and to just learn a lot more. So we had Eric as our keynote speaker. So how did your morning go? What did you talk about with the students?
So first off, when you're part of something that starts historic convening, you just know there's something really cool, special in the air. And there was definitely something special in the air. And so after Jordan and Pamela had a chance to be able to kind of welcome everyone, then I had the opportunity to start off with really where their passions are looking at. And so we began with the conversations about dream jobs. What would be a dream job? Because for some of them in the room, what we're doing is actually maybe something they would love to be able to be a part of.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you're thinking like, well, yeah, I would love to. Is there a field? There is absolutely there's a field, a professional field that says you are engaged in transforming communities through altruistic. I know something's bigger than me, and I want to give back to it.
Yes.
That's a profession. You can make a life out of that.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful place to be able to make a life out of. So we started with that, and then had an opportunity to be able to talk about the networks that were there with them, introduced them a little bit about the North Carolina Youth Giving Network, how whether you're in North Carolina or you're in Indiana or you're in Kentucky or you're in Texas or you're in Pennsylvania, because we actually had all of those states represented today
Wow.
here at the first ever IU Summit. So well done. It's not just Indiana, it spans even more. And then we actually kind of did a little bit of some friendly competition and some trivia to see if they really were thinking about either community foundation structures or how many are available or how many young people are engaged or what the focus of giving has been. So we actually took some of the data that came from IU's report, the January 2025 report, and infused that into some of the gaming technology that they did here today. So it was lots of fun. They were quite loud, engaged with the idea that we talked about at the very end of this experience. You're raising your game. You're walking away with some tools. You're walking away with some more resources. You're walking away with some things that you can bring back to the collective giving, either circle or council or experience that you're a part of. And so that was the beginning of the day, and that just launched it off. And so since the day, they have gone through workshops on giving circles. We have, on Giving Day, and then we also have spent some time with the adult allies. How do we do our greatest in a true youth development perspective to be able to support the young people and the work that they are looking to be able to do, but to do that with a partnership model. And so that was the fast moving intro. We'll spend the day, I'm going to close with them at the end of the day, talking about how you network and how your voice is a voice and not an echo, and how to be able to avoid the awkward, cringy conversations. So, yeah.
So many of those.
So many of those. Lots of music, lots of videos I introduced to them, even a sample of a philanthropic effort by an amazing young philanthropist by the name of Hollis, who's a student at Stanford University. She has a charity called Juggling for Jude, and so she literally juggles soccer ball It's raised over $800,000.
Wow.
Wow.
So lots of dynamics here. If you're watching this, you're like, gosh, this sounds really, really cool. If they do this again, you should come back.
Yeah.
Absolutely so. Yes.
Do it.
Yeah. Join. Yeah.
So you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, describing your experience with the summit and your work with Leading for Change. So what do you find most rewarding and or fulfilling about your work?
That is a really, really great question. We all have 24 hours in a day.
Mm.
When you close your eyes at night, how did you leave the place better?
Hmm.
It's the question you can ask every day. Some days, we just left the world a really great place, and some days we left the world just about the same. And so, what an honor to be able to have a job and to be able to have a career that allows me to give back and pour heart and soul, but also techniques and skills and resource and energy into others that are also thinking, how do I make this better? So for me, the best part about our work is I know that we're trying to be able to pay it forward. It's an altruistic mindset. The other element that's probably really great is you see legacies and generations of young people who have maybe been in our audiences or adult allies who've been in our audience who've said, you know what, I use that. I use that tool. Or Eric, I really loved your energy you brought in. Or oh gosh, that presentation you did, I still reference it. And to be able to know, like, you left an imprint, you left a mark on somebody for them to be able to continue to do the work better. That is the best part about this work. And we will be on the road. We're on the road about 200 days a year.
Oh wow.
So we're on tour a lot. And that means we get a chance to be able to see a lot of great programs from California to the Carolinas, from Maine to New Mexico and everywhere in between as well. And so you just learn there's a lot of good in the world. There's a lot of good. You can just kind of soak it up. And when you close your eyes at the end of the day, to be able to go, did I make it a little bit better? I hope I did. Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's
I think that's going to be something I reference going forward. So.
yeah. So switching gears a little bit,
Yeah.
how has having a leadership-based degree prepared you for working, maybe not necessarily like in just a philanthropic space, but in that space of giving back and, like you mentioned earlier, paying it forward?
I didn't know when I was getting my master's. I did my undergraduate at the University of California, and ended up getting two majors there because I just fell in love with both of the perspectives. And so I've got a bachelor's in ethnic studies and cultural relations. I just found fascinating to be able to see that the worlds that you and I can try to operate, and then sometimes to try to be able to, we don't operate, but we can at least try to be able to understand and look through the eyes of somebody else. So that was fascinating to me. And then I also, the other bachelor's was a combination, it was a hybrid of one part philosophy, one part sociology, one part anthropology, one part psychology.
Oh wow.
So yes, so the major was called social relations. So in essence, I majored in social relations and ethnic and cultural studies, which just sounds like I dated a lot. That's pretty much what it comes out. But that really kind of led me into, what do I do with this? We did my master's work at the Central Connecticut State University, and I have a master's of science in educational leadership and design. And that was really designed for here in the higher ed. So I come from higher ed. I was the director of leadership development at Rutgers University.
Oh yeah.
And have spent a lot of times on college campuses, whether it's from Stanford to Carolina and everywhere in between. And I was given the opportunity to be able to say, how would you take leadership, which is really big for a lot of people, and make it real for whoever's coming? And so when we design like a lot of our either first year leadership programs or club organization leadership programs, and I thought, what if we just took that on the road? So I used that leadership degree to move out west and started creating a training agency with the Youth Leadership Institute in San Francisco. And they brought me in, I think, one part because I had that leadership degree. And so there's one part about design, there's one part of intent. And if you can design something that's really, really cool and pushes people and goes like, oh my gosh, that was one of the coolest things we've ever been to. Oh, and by the way, it wasn't cringy and it wasn't weird, but it definitely allows me to be able to look at the world differently. Well, that's a great model, or that's a great module, or that was a great class, or that was a great training, or that was a great 2-hour experience, or that was a great podcast. And so that's where I think I learned how to take concepts and put them into things that are really, really fun and really engaging. And a combination of competition and a kicking soundtrack is very, very important.
Yes, it is.
So that's a long way of saying the application went from going with college students and with our first year students was really my focus. And when I left college, I thought, well, what if we just take all the things we learned in student affairs and took it on the road? And that's where we're at now.
That's brilliant.
Great.
That's such a good idea. So to switch gears, still a little bit in career development, but a little bit of a unique area. You have a history in DJing, do you not?
Yes, yeah. So goes back to the soundtrack as well. So when I was working in Los Angeles, I was working for this is during my undergraduate year. While I was an undergraduate, I was also working for a drug and alcohol prevention program called Friday Night Live, and I was working in the there was a kind of my office was in a like Department of Mental Health, like a detox center as well. And I wasn't working in detox, but our job was literally to be able to hit the ground running, go to different kind of schools, and really kind of talk about making some of those really effective choices that aren't going to jeopardize your future. And so it wasn't about being preachy, but it was really about, hey, listen, there's probably some really healthy options that you have rather than destructive use of alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. But you can't just lecture about that. It goes back to that design, right? Concept, that's going to pull me. But instead, you got to be able to turn it into something that is fun, that's engaging, and part of that was using music. And so for like probably a good 6 years of my life, we were going to schools or going in programs and then DJing at night, DJing in the days, learning how to be able to kind of make music be part of a transformative experience. And so that's when I started DJing and working at a couple different clubs and a couple different kind of like did some work with the radio station for a little while and met a lot of famous people who were not famous at the time, but they were musicians and they were trying to be able to find their way into the music industry. And so there's another element that's tied into there, which is anyone at maybe higher ed in college student affairs knows that there's campus programming is bringing in concerts and bringing in programs as well. And so I was also involved in bringing in acts and concert promotion at my undergraduate and my graduate days as well too. So I spent a lot of time with an organization called NACA, National Association of Campus Activities. And so we would bring in up and coming music artists that eventually would either get really big or not so much. So yeah, you never ever know.
That's amazing. So you learned to DJ as part of your work?
Yes.
Your prevention work?
Yeah, because it was using music was the way that we got into the place to be able to deliver the message.
Wow.
But it was the music first. And so then I thought, well, the music's powerful. And so now that we have it, now it's going to places where the music is what they're coming for. I mean, so like it was like at a club or a concert or a festival or something like that. You're not coming for like a prevention message. You're coming, or a philanthropy message. You're coming to have a really good time. So we used to be able to use both the good time of the music, but also how to be able to mix and how to be able to scratch and how to be able to stay on the cutting edge of music and how to be able to mash music up and how to be able to kind of change beats per minute and kind of like all the techniques that a good DJ knows how to do to be able to kind of keep that party moving.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, if you can you tell us who your favorite celebrity that you've worked with was?
had the opportunity to be able I've had the opportunity to be able to work with a lot of amazing people. I would say I'll do the 3-2-1. So third, probably really cool experience. Back in the day, there was a group that was just starting off, and we had a chance to be able to work with them for the first time, their first kind of West Coast experience. And I was backstage with Boys to Men, and
Oh, cool.
Quincy Jones is an amazing producer that was there, and I spent some time with them, and incredibly lovely, nice, but also really just intimidated guys. They were on the front end of their career. I had an opportunity to have dinner with Billy Joel.
Stop! That's so cool.
Which was perhaps one of the highlights of my career. Just we had brought him out to Connecticut, and it was just he and I after we'd done sound checks, and it was really cool to be able to sit side by side with this person who's I believe a musical genius. But I would say probably the one that was the coolest to be able to hang out with, and probably the most grounded. Before she went solo, and before people knew about them in Orange County and in Southern California, No Doubt was big. And so Gwen Stefani had kind of pioneered and brought in this kind of ska sound back again. Mm-hmm. And so we brought Gwen and No Doubt as kind of like a headliner with, it was No Doubt, Toad the Wet Sprocket, Weezer, and Cypress Hill on the same bill. So we got a chance to be able to hang out with Gwen the night before after we did their sound checks. And she was, without a doubt, perhaps one of the most down-to-earth, fun, like, all right, let's go hang out, let's go go to Disneyland, let's go wherever. And she was always just down for like meeting people, and she was genuine. And I really appreciated just how absolutely genuine she was. I met her again after No Doubt had kind of become much larger, and Gwen was already a phenomenon. And she's not going to remember me. Like, in other words, I was just a one-time in working with her. But and she was still the same person. So I have a big respect for the way that Gwen has conducted herself, the way that she's lived her life, the way that she has actually balanced her career and her family as well too. So Gwen Stefani would be a really cool example.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your celebrity stories.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Absolutely. They're people stories. They just happen to be celebrities.
Yes.
That's probably the thing to be able to kind of know about all that as well. And there's you don't have to be a celebrity to be able to have that ripple, that magnitude, legacy of impact. And that goes back to what this is all about.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Absolutely.
today. I greatly appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for putting this out to the field, and for anyone that is kind of watching your recordings, or actually you're experiencing this, you're seeing this, there's a story, and I think people need to be able to hear it. Each one of us has got that story. Each one of us, once again, you've got 24 hours. What are you doing with your day? As you close your eyes at night, what were you able to do to be able to make it a little bit better? So that's what I leave you with.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
If you found our conversation today interesting and want to come see the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy for yourself, you can schedule a visit with IU Indianapolis today.
You can do this by scanning our QR code or by following the link in the description.
If you would like to learn more about the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, the Changemakers Unplugged podcast, or the Youth Philanthropy Initiative, you can visit our website,
philanthropy.indianapolis.iu.edu, or by clicking the link in our description.